Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Being 5:30, we'll call to order this meeting of the Fitchburg Board of Public Works for August 18th, held tonight in the Francis Huntley Cooper Council Chambers. Attending tonight, we have our full quorum. Don and Dave, Alder Jetzer, myself, and Kim to my right. Public appearances for non-agenda items, we do not have any. So that takes us to agenda item 3 alpha, approval of August 4th meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Moved by Kim. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Don. Questions, discussion, corrections? Anyone?
None.
No, I thought they were complete and accurate. Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Now we'll move into our lengthy agenda items, starting with 4 alpha, Resolution R 12025, a resolution approving the police services facility construction bid.
So move.
Moved by Wilborn. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Kim. As we know, went through the bids on this, came in substantially lower. The low bidder and the recommended by city staff is Cullen Construction. They're out of Janesville, but they do a fair amount of local work here. They're on several projects that I'm working on, and they were approximately $1.5 million, I think, below the next lowest bid. So with that, Tim, would you like to give a narrative on it, and then we'll ask Pepper. We'll have a few questions for Pepper Construction. Pepper.
Absolutely. The Fitchburg Capital Improvement Plan included funding for the design and construction of the police facility services facility project. Plans and specs for the project were prepared by FGM Architects and approved by the Fitchburg Common Council by Resolution R 99-24. Bids and plans, specifications were placed on questcdn.com, and legal notice was placed in the Wisconsin State Journal on July 1st and July 8th, 2025. On July 29th, 2025, 6 electronic bids were received and opened with the results listed in the attached bid tab. J.P. Cullen was found to have submitted the lowest responsive bid in compliance with the specifications in the amount of $23,053,855. J.P. Cullen submitted alternative bid amounts for items 1, 3, and 5 in the total amount of $107,685. The CIP number 2141 authorizes sufficient funding for the project. We're looking for council to approve award of the construction bid plus alternatives 1, 3, and 5 for the project to J.P. Cullen in the amount of $25,005,848, and that includes an 8% contingency. And then we're also looking for council for authorization for city staff to make a determination on alternative number 6 and adjust the contract amount to reflect a determination and authorize staff to make a determination on alternative number 4 during construction.
Tim, for people that are watching and haven't read this, could you run through the alternatives quick? You wouldn't mind?
Yeah, let me pull them up. Yeah, if you could, Jared.
Yeah, go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, so alternate number 1 was the pergola and seat wall located outside, like for an outside break area. Alternate number 2 was an alternate for building automated control systems for Honeywell system. Alternate 3 was for a standalone mock-up, which means, the contractor would construct it. You could do some water testing, kind of determine lapse and procedure methods to ensure that it's going to go on correctly on the building. Alternate number 4 is an alternate landscaping plug alternate. That was just an alternate just due to the time of year that the landscapings would go in. There's just a different product that could be used if it's kind of later in the growing season. Alternate number 5 was the roof walkway pads. That was kind of identified as a potential value engineering option if the project was over budget. There's a walkway pad path across most of the roof to get to a lot of the solar panels that are on the top of the building. Alternate 6 is for a different access control vendor. That's your card reader kind of access through secured doors. And then there were 3 different alternates under that alternate 6, 2 different manufacturers, and the third was a standalone recommendation from contractors.
Jared, what was the scale of the model in alternative 3?
The cost for the mock-up for alternate 3 from J.P. Cullen was about $11,765.
What was the scale or size of it?
I think it was probably, I want to say 20 by 8, somewhere in that range.
All right.
We tried to get a few outside corners, a couple windows, a couple of the different transition details between brick and metal panel, trying to collectively kind of capture as many conditions on the project as we could.
Okay. We used that when we built a large power plant many years ago. We had them build a scale model, and it saved us a lot of money on the construction. It paid for itself many times, but I'll leave that discussion to the board. All right, board members, I'll let you ask questions. Kim, you want to go first?
Yep, I have a question on, let's see, is it alternate 5 is a reduction, right? Because that was a value engineering thing, and you could have put that in if the price came out too high?
We could have taken it out. So it
could have taken it out.
It's an add. It was not part of the base.
Okay.
So that would be an add to the project. It was an add alternate to add the walkway pads.
Okay.
And
so value engineering said, don't put it in, and if your bids are low enough, then go ahead and add it back in?
it's a nice to have on a building to help maintain kind of the roof integrity and where people are going to walk. So, but sometimes people don't always walk on those.
And the Honeywell was a better system than what was in the base bid, is that correct?
It was just an alternate manufacturer, and it was decided not to go forward with Honeywell.
Okay, so that was alternate number 2.
Correct.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
Bill?
I've got a question on alternate number 6. So a couple of the bidders, it was going to increase the cost by $1 million, and then a couple of them, it was going to cut the cost by $250,000. What's the story behind that?
Yes, that's a good question. It was very surprising to me too to see.
Which one were you expecting?
Personally, I was expecting the ad myself.
And that magnitude?
Pretty close. I mean, that can be a very expensive system, the access control. Yes. So to see a couple of those with the deducts was a surprise. We did have a couple scoping calls with Cullen post just to confirm that, they accurately understood. There's been a lot of discussion on this alternate 6. I still think that that's being reviewed by the city. I think the IT, I forget, Nick right? With
Nick Joseph, yeah.
Right. He's currently reviewing the base bid to see if that system kind of meets the standards of Fitchburg IT and the police, to see kind of these other three, kind of what, if Fitchburg has a preference, so to speak, for a different vendor. But to answer your question directly, yes, I was kind of confused and shocked that there were some deducts for that. But with this hard bid process, the numbers are the numbers, and they're going to have to stand by those if that is selected.
Bill,
Yeah, I mean, it looks evenly split. I mean, three vendors said it was going to cost an extra $1 million, and three said it was going to be $250,000 savings.
Right.
Can I jump in? I have a question specifically on that point. So, access system, I work at a place, I have about 3 different cards for different clients. We can manage that ourselves, our IT or whatever. We're not going to have, we'll have the computer terminal or whatever to, make the cards and manage that. We won't have to, be sending it out somewhere. We will have the facilities to do that here. It's a concern I have. Do you either of you know? We have to have the ability to manage it here, produce the access cards, deactivate them. That has to be internal here.
Yeah, I think the current process is that way.
Okay.
I mean, we get our fobs,
Okay.
and HR is mainly in control of that I think they determine what Active Directory group somebody belongs in, and then that in turn decides what their security and their access is, and then HR is able to produce those fobs.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what Nick is evaluating right now, right? What is in that base, if that's going to integrate into your current systems.
That's my, yeah.
So I can't speak for if
Okay,
you guys can make the cards
No, I'm
and
putting
stuff,
you on
but
the-
I
I'm
think that's
putting you on
why
the
it's in
spot,
Nick's
but-
court to be
Okay.
kind of evaluated.
I just don't want us to go down the road where we have a new officer, and it takes a week to get his card, or conversely, we have someone leave under hostile circumstances and we can't get it deactivated, immediately. So, okay. All right, I'll shut up. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, that was it for now.
Okay.
Funkiness I saw in the bidding. But access control, you got A, B, and C. You have to pick one for sure? Or
there
does
is
the
a
bid
base.
itself have an access control?
Bid had a base, and this is adjustment to base.
Okay.
And I think that's where some of the confusion came in the bidding with the numbers, is what was coming out, what were they adding in. But
Okay.
there was a base system, so if alternate 6 did not go forward, there would still be access control in the current project.
Okay. And you have Nick evaluating it. I assume you got the PD side of the shop also weighing in, because one thing is Tim wants to go from this building to that building.
Right.
Does he have access to even walk in there, and vice versa? And two, if they have a preference of, one type of one, it'd be nice to know that.
I think Nick is waiting for direction for specifically the detention area for police input for that exact reason. Because they would have more stringent requirements on those doors and what needs to happen, so I think Nick's leaning to the police for that section in the detention area, and he would kind of take the rest of the administrative office side of things.
Okay.
Dave, anything? So I'm going to ask the hard one now. Okay. All right, I think you know what it is. What gives? As far, I'm ecstatic for the taxpayers.
Right.
I'm very, very pleased for our taxpayers, but, we were going down this road, council budgets decisions, this and that. I'm happy to have it lower, but, how did it happen? I have the engineer I worked with, pretty much most of my adult life was on the team with you, and what didn't you anticipate, or is it, just such a good bidding, or,
Well, I think it's a wide variety of things, to be quite honest with you. Right out of the gate, I think somebody hit on it. The next number up was 1.5 million to the next bidder. There were 6 bidders total. The spread on the 6 bids was about 4.7 million from low to high. That's a considerable spread. You know, for reference, we bid a lot of work. We just bid a job locally here, about half this cost, 5 bidders, low to high. It was $200,000 difference, much tighter. I can't really tell you why that one was, you know, what was different on this one.
You had,
I think, go ahead.
You had, you know, initially, you talked, you know, council members and some, you know, they had toured some similar facilities, you know, down, and I think you probably looked at the costs of those. Is it possible that on the cost of some of those, you know, it included the land? You know, we didn't have to. The land might have been $3 million, and we didn't. You know, the land was.
That's very likely. Land costs, yes, you're correct. There were comparable facility square foot costs that were used in computing this estimate. I think a big part too is, you know, we started budgeting this about 2 years ago at this point. 2 years ago was a very different environment with the economy, right? We were coming out of COVID. Costs were surging at an astronomical rate. We were kind of carrying those costs forward, right? Because we didn't know what was going to happen in the environment, if costs were going to continue to climb. So we were kind of going with the best information we had at that time. I will tell you, in the contracting world, things are definitely tightening up on our side of the fence right now. You're seeing a lot of bidders going after jobs. I mean, we had 6 on this job, which I think was a pretty good bid coverage. But also that trickles down to the trades that are involved reporting to the general contractors as well, right? They're just as hungry as the generals. So I think you saw a margin get squeezed out of there a little bit too. Okay. So I think it was a wide variety of things. I can't just pinpoint one issue, but I mean, we acknowledge, you know, we were working off a 75% set at that point when we gave that last estimate. We were still carrying contingencies in our number for, you know, to obviously kind of be a little conservative so the project's not over budget and does not go forward. So I think there was just a several different contributing factors, if you will, that led to that spread.
Yeah, it was a much more pleasant conversation than have it.
Yeah,
we were $10 million over.
And you know, and I'll tell you, the one that we just bid a couple weeks ago was about half of this and about $4 million under budget. So, I mean, to double this, it's I think a pretty common theme right now.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That's a good explanation.
Dave?
Yes.
I had one question also on, you had a supplemental bid A.
Correct.
For
undercutting.
Remove and replace. How assured are we, because that location there, it has some wetland around it and near it, that's not going to be a big cost overrun. Do we get enough borings and stuff that we really know what we're up against? Or? We do have a soils report that was issued to the contractors. For the most part, it was pretty good report. But as we know, like you touched on, the creek's right here. And you only get five borings on the whole site, right? So you're not getting a great representation of it. I will tell you, the good thing is these foundations aren't super deep, right? So you're not going, 20 feet down. So that's a positive. And I do believe this site was a fill site at one point, or no.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think at one point I had heard that there were some loads imported to that site.
Very well done.
So I mean, based on the initial soils report, we feel pretty confident, but it would have been irresponsible of us to not include a cost for undercutting and just handle that as it comes up. So we felt it was best to competitively get a unit cost. It's kind of hesitant to just include a number, an unknown number, because that can sway your unit cost that you get. So we felt just leaving it kind of open. If we encounter it, what's the unit cost? Because let's just say we picked a number of 1,000 cubic yards and they based their unit cost on that and we only had 10. Well, then that opens up a conversation of, you told me I was going to have 1,000. I lowballed my unit cost because of this, right? I need more money. So there was a lot of conversations back and forth of how we address that. And it was just determined that we'll get a unit cost. And if we encounter it, we have that locked in. And then there should be no argument on the change orders.
Okay.
Just so years from now, I go in and the foundation hasn't settled and the floors are all cracked. That's all I care.
There'll be a testing company to make sure we're putting it on appropriate soil.
Yeah, sounds good.
So a
Go
couple
ahead,
months
Bill.
ago, there was some equipment over there, and I thought they were drilling for,
That was a geothermal test well.
okay, that's what I thought. And so were they able to, is that also able to inform the overall site in terms of how difficult or easy it's going to be to construct?
No, because they're not sampling that soil and documenting, as they're going down what they're encountering. Those guys or that company is just out there just blasting to get, I don't remember how deep this one is, 600-800 feet to the earth to get to where they need to be to get the test information. That was really more so the engineers could finalize the design of the system and size the wells and the spacings and the capacity of everything. So it was kind of more for the mechanical engineers to finish the design of the geo system. So, and that's a very messy process when they do that. There's a big slurry and stuff comes out, so you don't know if that's from them drilling with the water or what you're encountering.
So here, question, please take our time here. This is outside of the fish hatchery bid. This is the biggest, I think Mr. Wilburn would probably say the biggest one we've had for approval on our time on the board. But sure everyone has their questions answered on this. All right.
Are we using a standard contingency on this one?
It's an 8% contingency.
I would say for, it's 100% CD documents, construction documents, so full plans and spec design. I mean, that's a pretty, I'd feel pretty good about that, but.
Okay. Just the subsoil makes me nervous.
Yeah. You have something else, Bill?
Well, I just wanted to highlight that we are in fact doing LEED on this building, and that was a question that was up in the air in recent weeks and months as to whether that would be included or not. Looks like it is, right? I mean, there's a line item that says construction management fee for LEED and commissioning, $171,000.
Yeah, that's probably not for me to answer.
I'm not sure. I'll have to check with Paul on that.
Yeah, because we were under the understanding that it wasn't going to, or we weren't pursuing the LEED certification is what I thought.
Okay.
Is that your recollection?
Well,
so Bill's not wrong. There is a line on the budget for it. I think there probably needs to be some conversations with FGM, the designers, and us as the construction manager, and then Cullen as the contractor to get that to the finish line for LEED.
We had some money in for that.
It is part of the budget, but
so if you look at page 76 of your packet tonight, which is page 72 of 74, it's about half a dozen down in the soft costs category, the construction management fee for that. So that would be, I guess, that would be your oversight of the construction process to make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed all along the way, and test whatever appropriate testing is done to make sure things are meeting the standards.
Yeah, there's a LEED submittal. I think FGM would have to be kind of looped in to get that submittal queued up. We're not the architect, so we wouldn't be responsible on the front end documents, the construction documents, to submit that. I do know that the documents were not initially set up for LEED, right. But I do know that the conversations are that they are trying to push that forward. But full transparency, I don't believe it's currently set up to go LEED.
Interesting.
That's
but
what
I know,
recalled too.
I know there's been a lot of conversations that they want to push it towards LEED, and we've looked at it as you noted with that line item for LEED administration. We feel that LEED can be achieved without changing anything on the building, right? You can still be LEED certified, but there's the administrative paperwork part of that that needs to be kind of reconciled and cleaned up to get it there. So just for the record, if it doesn't go LEED, that money would not come to us. Like we wouldn't perform those services. So,
And I guess I'll also highlight that the only thing we're talking about tonight is approving JP Cullen, which would not include the furnishings and fixtures or soft costs, or I guess the contingency would be built in, right? That's that 1.84 in contingency, that is the 8% we're talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the way I read it from on page 76 there. All those soft costs were lists of things that could be, and the furniture and fixture, that's just more budget items.
Right.
That's still coming up, and that isn't included in what we were approving.
Any other questions?
I
Go ahead, Don.
I think it's applicable to this one because we're using the geothermal and maybe some solar and stuff. Have we factored in construction timeline and when those credits go away?
There's a $500,000 tax rebates line item in there on the top of page 76.
I think that's different than the LEED that you're talking about.
Right. Yeah, you're talking about tax credits for
Solar.
solar panels
Yep.
and geothermal
Yep.
systems.
Yep.
I think that's what that $500,000 is for, right?
Yes, there's been conversations of if this all gets approved to go forward, to hire a tax consultant to help pursue those credits and get that $500,000 deduct that you see on the tab.
But it's entirely possible we may not, because
Yeah.
they may have expired by then. So the way I read this whole thing was that they weren't really counting on getting that, and if they got it, that would be a savings.
That's
It's
how I
factored
feel,
into
too.
the final
The 30
line
million,
item.
yeah.
Well, it's factored into the bid sheet, so,
The 3157,
Yeah, yeah.
it's taken that
On
500.
page 76, that 500,000 has come out of that subtotal of 3157, but it's still just a budget item for consideration, is the way I read this.
Okay, that was.
Good question.
I was
Don.
wondering if
Yeah.
it's going to break the
Okay.
bank.
Thank you for
We
raising
don't
that
get it.
issue. Yeah. We're aware of it.
and I don't know off the top of my head all of that stuff, but I think for the solar, as long as it's put into commission by December 31st of 26, you can still get the credit. I'm assuming geothermal is similar or more generous, because, yeah.
Hard to keep track of. Yeah. Anything else? It's good discussion. Thank you. Thank you all for your thorough read of the proposal and the details. Okay. All right, then we'll call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R1 2025, resolution approving the police service facility construction bid being awarded to Cullen, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? It is approved. Whew. All right. Thank you, everyone. We have a lot of work ahead of us yet, but thank you for everyone that's worked on this. I know it's been put in a lot of diligent work to get us to this point. Thank you. Thanks for coming, Jared.
Thanks, Jared.
Next, we have Resolution R12925, accepting assignment of vegetative management contracts. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move approval.
Moved by Alder Jetser. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Kim. So we have our vegetative management for our stormwater, and there is a new owner, or previous owner retired and essentially transferred the business to someone else, and we're authorizing the assignment of this existing contracts to the new name Field and Stream Ecological Incorporated. Am I in the ballpark there, Tim? I think.
Yes, that's correct. And then the 4 previous contracts were associated with Resolution R109-23, R74-24, R75-24, and Resolution 76-24. So that was the Lacey Road Pond, Hillside Heights,
There's four that
there's-
we have.
Harlan Hills, East Pond, and the Ashbourne Pond.
So these were awarded to the previous owners, and these are being assigned to the new owner, those four.
No changes in the contracts or the price or anything?
No changes in the contract or the price.
Okay.
And the staff has remained the same with the equipment.
Music to my ears, all right.
Do we have to do due diligence on the 3 new owners? Make sure they don't have any business, bad business practices or something?
I mean, we've been working with their previous staff, so we've been working with them the last 3-4 years.
But we
Who
don't
bought
check
it?
staff for if they're.
The staff's the one that bought it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But when we check the initial contract, it's probably with the owner and how they are, if they're legit and have good business practices and stuff. Do we do due diligence on the 3 new owners?
Well, working with them, we've had that experience with them, and with their invoicing and, you know, they met all our deadlines and submittals and.
But the past owner is staying with him for turning this over.
Yeah,
too.
he is staying on board for a little bit to help out.
Okay. I'm just didn't want to get hit in the paper that all of a sudden one of them got small claims court for not paying taxes or not doing something business legit, and all of a sudden then we get.
It's just this board's job to ask those questions, so don't. Okay. Any other questions on you're comfortable with how they've been performing is what I gather.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have brought this forward.
Okay. All right, then I'll call the vote on favor of Resolution R 12925, accepting assignment of vegetative management contract, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is passed. Next, we have Resolution R 13525, accepting a perpetual easement for the public sidewalk purposes on outlet 4 in the Jamestown Quarry plat. Do we have a motion to approve?
I so move we approve resolution R-135-25.
Moved by Dave Wilborn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Jetzer. This is a project I go by about 5 times a week. Going by, checking on it. The perpetual easement, I'm not, do we use that term very often? We do.
Yes.
Okay, that's a common term we're using. Okay, all right. Public sidewalk, and is this, the sidewalk, is this internal on it? Because there's a sidewalk goes all the way, you're going to, become bike trail or a little wider going up the hill, but is this an internal sidewalk or is this part of the, around it?
This sidewalk's on the east side of Fitchburg Road, north of McKee Road.
Okay.
And it's right before the existing driveway into the infield.
Okay.
So what happened, there's a right turn going into that driveway, and the sidewalk needed to be shifted onto the private property slightly. It's a 5-foot wide sidewalk in order to keep the terrace width for snow storage and then also to meet safety setbacks. So it's about 1 foot to 2 feet of the sidewalk would be within the easement.
Okay.
The remaining sidewalk's still within the right of way for Fitch-Rona.
All right. I'm just looking at the picture here.
I believe it's only maybe 180 feet long.
$420 square feet, the drawing makes it look a lot bigger than it really is.
Yeah, actually, it looks like it's only 85 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Okay. All right. Any questions on this?
Yeah, I assume the answer is no because we don't have it planned that way. But being that it's a sidewalk just on the one side, is it wide enough if we want to eventually make it a rec trail?
There, on the west side of Fitchburg, there's a 10-foot wide bike path being constructed as part of this development.
Okay.
If you want to see dirt moved, go up and look at that site. I don't know where it all came from.
They got some pretty big mounds there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any other questions on this? I'm just going to page down a sec here. Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R-13525, accepting a perpetual easement for public sidewalk purposes on Outlet 4 in Jamestown Quarry Plat, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Next we have for Delta, Resolution R-13925, approving a contract between City of Fitchburg and Sustain Dane for Phase 2, Project 3 of Efficiency Navigator Program for window replacement. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move approval.
Moved by Alder Jetser, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so again, just for some context, the city, state law was allowed to keep TID district open that extra year, and the money had to be used for affordable housing. And so some of that money we are using to help rehab, improve the energy efficiency of existing older apartments in the city and keep them in good order. And so that's what this is about. Joyce, do you want to run us through here?
Sure. This is the last project that you're going to see my face at. This is for the window replacement. We're at about 160 windows and sliding patio doors in about, I think it's 7 or 8 buildings. So we're excited to get this done. As you recall, it's geared towards those at 80% of AMI or less that pay utilities, and they, excuse me, sign a community benefit for 5 years that they won't raise the rent any higher than HUD allows for increases. So that's where we're at. We're excited to get this project done. We've had a lot of great feedback, both from residents and property owners. So this is the last one.
Apartments, in my district, that probably most of the ones that are older and run down are in my district, and they were able to use this money to improve various energy efficiency things in those units. It wasn't all in District 1, but nice number were. Questions for Joyce?
I have a couple questions. When reading through this, it sounds like you got some costs earlier in the spring for the windows, and they were significantly cheaper than the ones you got in the summer. Did I read that correctly, or am I misunderstanding this, that we had taken it out because the cost came in significantly higher than what we thought it was going to be?
That's correct. I don't know if Claire or Leslie would like to comment.
Yeah, the initial quotes were an estimate based on what we anticipated the windows would be. We had not gone through that process with local contractors here. So when we got the actual quotes for the work, it came back higher than what the estimates were in the assessment reports.
So you guys made the estimates on your own without contacting contractors, or how did you come up with the estimates? Because spring to summer really isn't that far apart from each other.
Yeah, I can let Leslie talk about that. Leslie puts together the assessment report. So they're using data from many different sources. So that's why. It wasn't a spring to summer change. It was an overall, what we knew about the cost of the windows. But Leslie, why don't you talk a little bit about how that's estimated?
Sure. Typically, we are able to estimate our project cost based on previous projects that we've done. But for the case of windows, our program had never done windows before. So we were basing costs on the best knowledge we had without having to engage a contractor to go out on site visit and make a bid for a project we didn't know if they were going to get or not, or if even was going to be available. So we were, again, using our construction manager's knowledge of projects from their past jobs and giving an estimate based on the number of windows we were expecting to be replaced.
And do you then take this out to bid, and did you get more than one bid? Or how did you get the firm price from the contractor? Let's just say that.
Leslie, do you want to talk about the RFP and the bidding process?
I actually wasn't involved in that. Claire, you probably have better information than I do.
Sure. So there's an RFP that's created, and then it's sent out to contractors for bids. In the case of this one, we had gathered a number of newer contractors since we were working with the windows, and I don't have in front of me the comparison for which ones, but what we did do is if you look between the contractors that were selected, we made sure that the bids were all equivalent, and then there were slight differences between, what types of windows or expertise in lead or that kind of thing. And that's how we determined which contractor would be the best.
Other questions? Bill?
Yeah, I noticed that there's several kinds of windows. Looks like the OCNAs are triple pane with a U value of about 0.15, but the Pella and Compass line is only double pane with a U value of twice that much. Yeah, I don't know how do either of those compare with something that might be going into any other construction project in the city today?
We asked our contractors to provide bids for windows that have been Energy Star certified. So that's that third-party certification that tells us that these are high-performing windows. This is going to be a better performing window than the standard kind of double pane vinyl window that would go into a new construction. And that U value that you stated, the Energy Star windows are 0.27 or below that. So the contractors were able to choose the windows that met that standard for the Energy Star certification that they could get from their distributors, and also fit the type of window that they're replacing. So, not all manufacturers make exactly the same windows in exactly the same sizes, and not all contractors get windows from every distributor. But they are all high-performing Energy Star certified windows.
So are you using 3 different contractors? HLW and Jordan and Prairie?
Looks like that.
And why are you using 3 different contractors?
I'm going to just take that one, Kim. So if you recall, we put these bids out quite early, and as contractors' time fills up, then if they're not available, because this process took a lot longer than what we had anticipated, some of them now are not available, and they were earlier with their scheduling. So that's why you're going to see them. Plus, it's based on the bids too.
I think what Kim is getting at is it's more work to manage 3 contractors versus 1, but I'm not.
It just doesn't seem to make any sense to me.
The other benefit is that we can get the work done, we believe, by the end of the year. When you work with multiple contractors, they can all be working at the same time instead of having to take their team, get one property done, then get the next, then get the next. So it was a strategy to try to expedite getting the work done.
Good point, yeah, good point.
So we don't necessarily take low bid on each project?
No, we do not. We look for comparable bid, which is also a federal procurement standard that we've used for our other work. So as long as it is considered reasonable, we can take that bid.
Interesting. I thought you always had to take low bid.
Well, we always don't do it here.
This isn't a Fitchburg project. We're just providing the funding. So we don't have to use the state guidelines for this particular project.
And also the federal guidelines. You can use reasonable bid as long as you've gone through a competitive process.
But I think Fitchburg would be prudent to think, I mean, even if we're just providing the funding and having nothing to do with it, we want to make sure that we're not overpaying, that we're paying for, what it would be if we were doing it ourselves. That's the part that I don't really get.
Well, I think the point they made is there's not a infinite pool of contractors to do the work. It's the point they were making. I guess I'm not in that business, Kim, so I don't. This is not, going into these, these older apartments and changing windows out. It's not. As I say, it's not the easiest work. I'll just, I'm. It seems like looking at comparable. I feel they're within reasonable costs for doing this.
And I can only anticipate that the window prices are going to even increase more based on tariffs.
No, most of these are made. Most of the windows are domestic. We have a large window maker right here in Spring Green, short distance. Wisconsin has a number of window makers. I'm not sure that apply, but everything increases. Joyce, as you know, I don't see much going down in price.
So what's the budget amendment that we're looking for?
Well, this is the price on, the total was looks like $260K for this work. Is what we're approving. Am I correct here?
Yeah, it says, be it further resolved by the Fitchburg Common Council that it amends the 2025 Affordable Housing Fund to add $260,000 in expenditures for the Efficiency Navigator program.
So the amendment, Kim, is we're moving that money from, like I said, that 1 year extension on the TID to Affordable Housing Fund. We're transferring it to this specific project. That's the budget amendment on this.
So I guess Sustained Dane gave 3 options, and we only picked one. Divert the money to the Affordable Housing Fund. So we're just voting on that part of it, or how does the process work where who gets to decide 1, 2, or 3?
So we've done a number of projects. There's been more than, this one's windows.
Yeah, we bought refrigerators
and we re-insulated. So those are the three that we have done. This is the third one. Third phase of the project, yeah.
But we didn't have overruns.
Are you asking about the options that they gave us?
Yes.
For the window replacement?
No.
So we, as staff, chatted about what approach we wanted to use and what we wanted to bring forward. And knowing what the housing plan and what we heard from our Housing Advisory Committee and CETA, we felt that if we were gonna do this, we were gonna do it right. The other options were just replacing just all the windows in the front, or just replacing the windows in one building, or doing a mall. So we decided the best approach would be to do all of the windows because we have funding available.
Answer your question, Don?
Yeah, I just trying to get the funding and the selection process, not maybe so much for this, but for the future. That fund source that you're tapping into is going away, if I heard right. You said it's a TID that was a 1-year extension. So if we don't have a pretty aggressive change management process for the next go around here, there is no money then to pull from. So
we allocated it. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, so this affordable housing fund has accumulated from the closure of multiple TIDs that were extended by 1 year to collect that extra year of increment specifically for the affordable housing fund. And Joyce, maybe you know off the top of your head, I know I've seen Mike Zimmerman tell council, we've got roughly $10 million. And he had presented to us a couple months ago with a rough breakdown of how those $10 million would be allocated, some of which were for this program, right?
Correct.
So can you tell us, I guess, first of all, between the 3 phases of the Efficiency Navigator program, what did the total cost come out to for the city, including what we're voting on tonight? And then, I don't know if you remember what Mike's presented as the breakdown for those $10 million.
Sure. I think we're around 400,000 roughly if we were to improve this 260 tonight. And we have estimated in our buckets $1 million for this program of the 10 million.
Other money is going, council's looking at some development, helping the infrastructure on some development.
There's down payment assistance for some of that. Do you recall?
Land bank?
Yeah, land banking. Yeah. Do you recall, Joyce, what the full allocation of the 10 million is that we had talked about?
Pardon me? It's hard to hear you guys. You talk so soft. Not like me.
Can you walk us through the rough allocation that Mike Zimmerman presented to the council for the $10 million in the Affordable Housing Fund?
Sure. So I think there's about 2.5 for down payment assistance. If you give me 1 second, I can find the memo. I believe there's 500,000 for an emergency fund for seniors. There's about 1.5 roughly for land banking. There's maybe 2 million for, did I say 2,000? I meant 2 million. There is 2 million for filling the affordable housing gap for LIHTC projects. And let me just look here, because I feel like I'm missing something.
Uptown Hills is a project that's using some of that LIHTC gap funding for.
So Joyce, if there's a million, are there going to be more projects next year on this part, or?
Possibly.
Okay, all right.
We're kind of waiting really at this point for our update to our housing plan to see what our consultants come up with for, maybe there's some type of project or program that we haven't considered at this point. So, like I said, these are just estimates of kind of the buckets that we would use the funding for.
So, I still have a question. On page 150 in the resolution, it says, whereas Sustained Dane received quotes in the spring of 2025 for the replacement of approximately 160 windows in 8 buildings that were significantly less than the final quotes in the summer. So to me, that means you did get quotes in the spring and you did get quotes in the summer, and they were that significantly different. When I asked that question previously, I think Leslie said that it was just an estimate from past things you had done and you had never done windows before. Then my other question is, in the previous whereas, it says that the total estimated cost for all this, we went to $310,000, which was approved by the Common Council. So are you asking for 260 above the 310? Or I'm confused with the numbers between the 310 and the 260.
Well, that's probably my misunderstanding about the quotes, because I thought that quotes were done in the spring, and we did not spend the whole 310 because originally we didn't have the windows in that was part of that 310, and we did not spend it all. So this is just a new request for 260, but I was trying to give you some background on what all we have asked for in the past.
Okay, so there is some money left from that 310 that could be used for these windows. So the total we're asking for an increase is less than 260. Is that correct? I'm sorry, I'm asking so many weird questions. I'm just having a hard time understanding this and getting a grip on what it is we're, I don't feel like we should just keep giving money just because Sustained Dane says, this is what they think it is. I want to be more prudent with what we've already approved, what they've spent, what is this additional, and, is it a reasonable amount?
I haven't got all the invoices in yet, Kim, from the project 2, so I can't tell you what the total amount spent is going to be, but I know we're not spending the whole 310.
But you're still authorizing or asking us to authorize 260 more, which would cover just all the window things that we've got today. Is that correct?
And earlier, Joyce, did you say that the total was going to be in the neighborhood of 400,000, including the windows?
Can't hear you.
You're muted, Joyce.
You're still muted.
Joyce, you're muted.
We can't hear you.
Still muted.
I thought you said I was murdered. I'm like, okay. So I don't know what the total amount is, but because I don't have the invoices in yet to finish out that first project that we asked. We had allocated more money in the 2025 budget for this program. So that's why the budget amendment. Because we allocated another 100,000 in this year, but we weren't able to, this has been like over several years that we've been asking for money. So trying to keep track of what year we're in and how much we've spent. I'm more than happy to sit down and get that for you. Claire, can you help me out here?
Yeah, I think one of the challenges is that it was just 2 weeks ago that round 2 was approved. So there was a specific contract amount in there. You don't have all the invoices because all the work hasn't been done yet. So that's the delay she's talking about. So I think what we just need to do is pull up the other packets, which we could do in a second. Again, they're saved in different folders, but we could do that. And it's, of course, a like not to exceed amount. And payment only occurs when the invoices are provided to Fitchburg. So, nothing gets spent that hasn't been, or we don't get reimbursed for anything that Fitchburg does not have an invoice and proof of payment for.
What am I, I'll come back to Kim. What are we approving? Are we approving the request for additional $260 from the fund? Is that what we are?
Well, it's not like it's an additional. We're approving $260,000 for the purchase of 160 windows.
Okay.
For these, 76 units across 10 buildings.
All right.
Well, actually, the resolution says not to exceed $10,000.
But this 260 is in above to that, because on the last, or second to the last, be it further resolved, Common Council, that it amends the affordable housing to add 260 to the expenditures. So we already approved 310, so we're adding 260.
That's what I wanted to get at.
That's the way I read this anyway.
Are we correct, Joyce?
That is correct.
Okay. Took us a while to get there. All right. So I was uncomfortable. All right.
So again, how does that work with sustained gain is not to exceed a 310? If they're not going to spend all the 310, why can't we still use some of that money for windows?
It's all coming out of the same account.
Same account or same fund? No, one's coming out of affordable. One's coming from affordable housing fund, the 260, and the 310's coming from sustained gain grant, right?
No, we're providing the funding to sustain gain. It's all coming out of the affordable housing fund.
Okay. I was missing that because I thought
No one else
sustained
does
gain
this
was capping
program.
that.
Go ahead, Joyce.
No one else does this program, and no one else, Middleton and Madison have both participated in this program. But they're not doing the extent that we've asked them to do. We've asked them to assess whether or not they have fire suppression and what kind it is. We've asked them for health.
Who is them?
And
Is them sustained gain when you keep saying we ask them? Who's them? Sustained gain?
That would be Elevate, who is doing the assessments, and Sustained Gain is managing the program.
Okay, thank you.
So it's a partnership.
Yeah, questions?
So our project is different than the other projects that they've worked on. That's why they don't have the experience with the windows per se.
Anything else? I think I understand it now.
Are we okay with the wording of the resolution? Because some of the whereas clauses may not be exactly correct.
Go back up and let's look at it.
The thing about receiving quotes in the spring may or may not have been that sounds like that was not the case. But there was an estimate provided by the construction crew or the contractor.
Well, I'm paging back up here. Bear with me.
Page 150 of the packet.
150, okay. 150 or 115?
150.
Okay. So let's go through these quick. Okay. First one, whereas in 2019 city completed housing plan, whereas one of the recommendations was to upgrade. That's good. Whereas in 2024, City of Fitchburg engaged with Sustained Gain and Elevate Energy to participate in the Navigator program. Everyone fine with the first three? Mm-hmm. Next one, whereas the energy efficiency program identifies properties are considered as no unnaturally occurring affordable housing. I think we're fine with that. Whereas through the phase 1 completion assessment process, 10 buildings of 76 units owned by 9 different individuals were identified as eligible to participate. Next one, whereas the total initial estimated cost of updates for the 76 units in the 10 buildings was $304,000, with staff requesting not to exceed $310,000, which was approved by Common Council on June 10th.
18th.
June 18th, 2025. Resolution R1725, 11725, to allow for unforeseen change orders. And everyone fine with that one?
Yeah, but that included all the things they thought they were going to do, including windows. At that point in time, was the 310, is that the way I'm reading this? The initial estimated cost for everything that they were going to do in those 76 units was supposed to be $304,000 or $310 to allow for some unforeseen things. Is that correct? That was our original thought?
Joyce, can you send that one back to you?
So we have $8,605 that has not been allocated from the first approval of 310. So that could be put towards the windows. Round 2 has a contingency as well. So that may not come in at 260 as well.
But Kim's question was, the initial estimate, for the 310, did you include windows in that?
That was for all three phases, the insulating, the refrigerators, and the windows. That was the initial cost you got from Sustain Dane or Elevate, whoever has given them to you, for the 76 units in 10 buildings. Am I reading that correctly?
Maybe Leslie or Claire can help me out with that one.
So my recollection is that Joyce provided the number to us for what was available to spend on the program. And then, so we didn't say it's going to be 310, right? It said there is 310 available for measures. So then we did the assessments in the buildings and determined which would be the highest priority measures per buildings. And then we made recommendations per building. And then we got to the situation where the windows cost was going to be much more than could happen in the first grouping. So we brought that to the staff team and asked them, do you want us to do, as Joyce said, less windows or half windows or one building windows? And they said, no, we don't want you to do that. So we took out the windows and then put forth the recommendation for the other measures that made the most sense per building.
Answer your question.
So initially we had thought windows could go into 310, but then recognized that there would not be enough budget to do other measures that were also critically important for these buildings.
Okay.
Am I answering the question?
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So we are right with that, whereas windows are 260, yeah. All right, next, the whereas Sustain Dane received quotes in the spring of 2025 for the replacement of approximately 160 windows in 8 buildings that were significantly less than the final quotes in the summer of 2025 at $260,000, with contingencies that now require more dollars to complete the work. Is this one right?
It didn't sound like it.
Do we agree on this one?
No, I think from what either Claire or Leslie said earlier, I think you should just change it to Sustain Dane received estimates in the spring or whatever, because it really wasn't a quote that went up again. Not that it's semantics at this point in time. I don't know if it's important.
So, all right, well, hang on to that. Let's go through the rest of them and then we'll come back to that one. Whereas an itemized list of property with the quote estimates for the window replacement are included, and whereas the project directly benefits, whereas there are sufficient funds, I think we're fine with all those. So if I come back up here, I believe we'd like, whereas Sustain Dane received estimates in the spring of 2025 for the replacement of approximately 160 windows in 8 buildings. Okay.
Yeah, they made.
Okay, all right.
And it seems immaterial.
Sustain, yeah.
It's not important.
Okay. Yeah. So you strike that and say, whereas estimates of the work at $260,000 with contingencies are now required to complete the work. Is that all we want in there? Okay.
That's what I would say too.
Okay, so the first the first sentence on there, it's a run-on. It's like St. Paul's epistles here.
I would just say Sustain Dane received quotes in the summer of 2025 at 260 with contingencies that requires more dollars to complete the work.
Okay.
So just take out the in the spring of 2025 for the replacement of this, or you could leave that in, or just take Sustain Dane received quotes for the replacement of approximately 160 windows in 8 buildings in the summer of 2025 at $260,000.
Motion to amend that has been moved by Kim Lobdell. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor of the amended change signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, that is amended. Back to the initial motion then. Any further discussion? Okay. This time we'll call the vote. All in favor of resolution.
Dave?
Go ahead, Joyce.
If you recall too, I guess I probably should have spoke up a little sooner, but originally we pulled the windows out of even anything because we had applied for a joint grant with Madison. And we did receive funding for that. However, the amount of funding that we got, most of it was pulled back. And so we had anticipated to do more work than really what we had funding for. So I think that's an important point to mention, because the Southdale neighborhood was part of the qualified area in which we could have made changes in. And if you look at your sheet, there's a few of those buildings on Deer Valley, I believe it is,
Yes.
that are in Southdale that we were hoping that we could use some other funding for that didn't materialize.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. Appreciate it.
Dave?
Yes,
if
Don.
there- I'd like to put it in here for the future stuff. That's what I'm really worried about. The change management for this is not good at all. And to try to budget for next go around, you're going to have the same issue where you're going to be asking for money. And it'd be nice to say in the future they shore up the change management such that we can lock in to a number with a reasonable contingency, like Tim has to be locked into of 6 or 8%, and say you manage to that number, or figure out what you're gonna change in there. I'm not saying it eloquently enough, but it'd be nice for the future so that when we go do this again, we won't just say, okay, now we need another 300,000 or something. And the other one in there, again, it won't be mine, it'll be council's. We take low bid on everything else we do. You ought to take low bid on this.
That's my concern is I'm not really comfortable with what process Sustain Dane goes through in order to get their contractors and get reasonable prices from their contractors and we're just providing the funding. So it's more of the Sustain Dane's process. What are they following so that we're sure we're putting our money into the right good spot? I am definitely not opposed to putting windows in these things. I think it's a great idea to do it. I'm just not comfortable with the process that Sustain Dane went through to get this. Who do they have favorite contractors that they use? Do they, go out to other people? I don't really understand that. As far as I can see, it wasn't explained very important, very, cut and dried. That I don't know. It sounds like it's more of a loose process than it is a definitive process that they've gone through, and that's my concern on the whole thing.
Well, they just personally make it so that they always have to come up with an estimate before they approve the money.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to defend the methodology, which we all have problems with, but we did approve 2 of these previously. That we didn't ask these questions before. We should have asked these questions on the very first one. I'm not making excuses, and I have the message loud and clear, and I asked Tim, this is an action item that we follow up on to tighten this up, is what I would say. We're anticipating, Joyce, doing some work again next year. I think we still have some budget.
Possibly.
Okay.
It'll be on what we have left for funding and what the council approves, so. And I will take responsibility for this because I'm new to this and I worked with them and I maybe was misunderstood. I don't know about the windows. However, I'm bringing it forward. It was a priority identified. Sustained Dane has worked in other communities where they used ARPA and TID dollars, which are very strict guidelines through the government, federal government. So I trust that their processes are upfront. That's all I'm going to say.
Trust but verify.
And they probably are, we just don't understand what their process is.
So, and the homework for, I'll talk to Tim about this, and, in the city that we maybe get this formalized a little bit more. I think everyone, I'm hearing, we're all in favor, Joyce, we're all in favor of the program. That is this board's job to be, looking at these things hard to make sure that we're getting the best value for the money the city's spending. Okay. All right. Anything else?
Well, I guess, can you tell us what kind of spread there was between the three contractors that were selected? I mean, is there a way to tell whether one is significantly more expensive than the other, given that they're all, installing different products and stuff? I don't know if you can separate materials from labor.
Plus they have
I don't know if I can
different
separate
sizes.
materials and labor. Probably a quick way to do it would just be taking a number of windows divided by cost to do a per window cost. I don't know, Leslie, if you wanted to add anything else to that, but I think that could be a quick way, based on being, in the middle of a committee meeting, to look at it.
Leslie, if you're speaking, you're on mute. No.
I agree with Claire. I think that's a good, quick way to look between the different contractors.
So could I ask Joyce if you could work with them? Just the board would like send us a memo what the cost per, between the different contractors, basically their cost per window. I guess I could divide it too, looking at it, but if you could provide that in an email to the board members, just so we have that. Some are patio doors. Yeah, it's
And different brands, different quality windows.
I guess it's not, no. I'm not sure I get any useful information on that. I withdraw that request.
I'd be happy to do that.
All right.
Dave, do we need someone else to help them look at that? Because I think the board here went with due diligence there, whereas the staff recommended the not to exceed cost. They didn't say, let's just make it a big variable. And they added a resolution to take any unforeseen. So the staff was pretty, I don't know whom the staff are, but they were pretty solid that they didn't think they were going to go over 310, whatever the process is, whatever it is. So I'm not sure how we would challenge the next go around if the staff comes back and says the next 70 building units that we're going to go after says we want 400,000 or 500.
Who's the staff? Is this Joyce and the city staff, or is this the Sustained Dane staff? Who's the staff in this memo?
We worked together on that.
Okay, so
And-
it's the
and
city
that
and
original-
Sustained Dane. Okay. All right. Answers that question. Thank you. Anything else? We'll I've got this marked down as a area for improvement, or, okay. All right, then it brings us back to initial. We have an amended resolution, R-13925, approving the contract between City of Fitchburg and Sustained Gain for Phase 2, Project 3 of the Efficiency Navigator Program. All in favor of the amended resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Joyce, Leslie, Claire, thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have Resolution R-14325, granting an underground electric easement in Outlot 7 in Fahey Fields. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm jumping in. At this time, I'll entertain, we have Resolution R-14125, accepting subdivision improvements in Phase 2 in the plat of 4th addition to Terra Vesta. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Kim, second by Don. I take it has been conditionally inspected and approved by the city?
Yes,
And
it
your
has.
staff? Okay. Anything abnormal here? Any punch list items?
A couple minor items, but we believe it'll be complete by next council meeting on Tuesday.
Okay. I looked at the map. How many units are we looking at here on this one?
So these were the subdivision improvements for lots 400 through 450, and then also outlots 82 through 86.
400 through.
54.
So about 50 lots,
Okay.
plus four outlots.
Okay. Thank you.
Tim, in the 14 months is typical that what the city uses?
Yeah, that's by state statute.
Okay.
So we go by that.
Any questions?
Tim, any chance you do video logging or LiDAR of this? And the reason I say that is, I can't remember when we were talking about sidewalk being cracked from a builder. We already approved that one, but it was the builder when they came in there with their equipment. If we photo log this or LiDAR it, we'll have at least documentation to show that they busted it up when they built their houses.
Yeah, and that's something definitely on our radar after that instance did happen. So Public Works has worked with building inspection closely, and now we have internal procedures in place where they're not going to approve the occupancy permit for any house or residence until, if it is a cracked sidewalk, that's something on their radar they're looking for. So LiDAR we don't do, but we are aware of it, and it's something that's definitely on the checklist prior to the occupancy being issued by building.
What about, I'd be concerned too, just the main roadway too, if they rip it up or.
Well, that's something we look at. So that the final lift doesn't get put down till a year later.
Okay. You don't have a way to photo log it at all?
No, we do not.
Okay.
Maybe we can put that drone to work.
Well, I
I
realize
hear you.
it's
I hear you.
expense, you don't have it, and there's a cost to it, but you could tie it into this development cost. When the developer's in there to say at the end of the project, before we're gonna approve it, we'll do our walkthrough, but you do a photo log and give us the copy when you're done.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, it's something we could look at.
I like that. I like that thought.
Or LiDAR or whatever, just they could bore the cost for us, and then Tim's got better detail.
Any questions? Okay. Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R-14125, accepting subdivision improvements to Phase 2 of the plat of 4th addition to Terra Vesta, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next takes us to 4 Foxtrot, Resolution R-14325, granting an underground electric easement in Outlot 7 to Fahey Fields in McGaw Park. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move approval.
Moved by Alder Jetser. Do we have a second? A second from Don. We have a citizen, Patrick Cheney, would like to come and speak on this item. Go ahead, Patrick.
I am opposed to this based on objecting to the wording in this resolution as well as the proposal itself. For the wording first, the wording in the referral sheet and the resolution is almost the same, but going by the resolution right here, the title says granting an underground electric easement in Outlot 7 in Fahey Fields. It is not Fahey Fields anymore. It may have been Outlet 7, but it is city property McGaw Park, specifically the western edition of McGaw Park. Next line, whereas the city is constructing additional pickleball courts, true, with lighting, not approved, that's not approved, and on Outlot 7 in Fahey Fields, again, not true. Next line, whereas electric service is needed for this facility, that is not justified. Next line, whereas an easement is needed for Madison Gas Electric to install the electric service, again, that's not required. Otherwise, for what? For outlets? For non-approved lighting? I did some research on this and pulled up from February 11th, Resolution R20-25, which accepted the bids and the whole project. And it says at the top of that, you don't have this, I know. McGaw Pickleball Courts Expansion Project for $200,000 and McGaw Lights Project, that was the original proposal, for $210,000. The lights cost more than the courts. Further on, it says, whereas items include the expansion are 4 new pickleball courts and related fencing and gates, shade structure footings, expansion of cement patio, wind screening, court lighting bases, bicycle racks and their installation. It does not say lighting. Further down, it says, whereas staff recommending the shade structures and storm system improvement work. Further down, it shows that the costs of these things, storm sewer work, and the 2 shade structures for almost $63,000. If you remember, this board right here recommended letting the pickleball group pay for the shade structures, but the council said, oh, no, we can pay for that too.
Not me.
Yeah, for a total of just short of $400,000. Now, let's see. Yeah, I covered that. So why is it, then the proposal, why is this being proposed? Because putting in the easement means that MG&E will put in the transformer, which is already marked for placing the transformer right now, not in the long future. There's a stake right there of where the transformer goes. And then what is that going to be for? Electric service, because as soon as there's electric service, there is an MG&E bill. Look at your own bill. There's a service charge whether you use the electric or not, and then they also bill for usage. So are there going to be outlets which were not, well, they're piped in. Their conduit is underground. Naturally, the conduit was put underground in here for everything. And it's boxed in for outlets, but there's no wiring. There are no lights anywhere around. No lighting seems to be approved on this. Now, a basic sport facility needs certain things to be able to play. In the case of this example, pickleball courts, you need the court surface, you need the nets, you need the lines, and then you can play. Anything else is a frill. Even the fence going around it is a frill. The wind screens in the fence are more of a frill. But then who's going to pay for a meter if MG&E plugs one in? Who's going to pay for the lighting if it's installed, for the actual 210 estimated thousand in lighting? The pickleball group, if they're donating, fine, if they're going to pay for it. Otherwise, if the city is paying for this, what else is the city going to pay for here? Shelter, restrooms, concession stand, exclusive parking lot? How much in donations have we collected from this? So I suggest the Board of Public Works clarify the language and what this is approving and the proposal here and edit this resolution. Any questions?
I would just add, granting the easement, Patrick,
Yeah.
we're not telling them to install it, you know. You say, all right, there's an easement and in the future it could be installed, but we're not incurring any costs.
There's no
giving
there's
them
no
an-
cost for
giving
the
them an
easement, but putting in the easement and it's staked for where the transformer goes right now.
Understood.
The
but
stake is in the
we're
ground.
not-
And then beyond that is hooking up electric service, and then what for? What is the electric service for?
You know what it's for, and I'm not.
Well,
I'm not
I think
favor,
I know what it's for, but it's not
This
approved.
resolution is just granting an easement.
True.
It's not giving MG&E, we're not asking them to put it in, we're not asking them to install it. Now, it wouldn't surprise me, and I won't be able to stop it, that the pickleball mafia will demand that it be in there, but this is just an easement. This is just
True.
an easement, you know, we're giving them the right to put it in at some time.
But then what's next and what's next, and
Well, you know
where's
what-
that lighting?
You know what's
This
next.
technically would be a way to either figure out what's going on here or stop it right here.
Board members, your thoughts? I'm not, you know, I'm only in favor of lights if, I don't think he as a taxpayer should have to pay for the lights down there.
My point is this resolution seems to strongly imply that they're getting electric service and lighting. So is
Well,
that
I think
true
that's,
or not?
I mean, the intent, I think, is that we're setting it up to facilitate lighting in the future, whenever that may be. So with the, you know, we've got the bases being put in, we've got the underground conduit, now we're going to have an easement for MG&E. At some point in the future.
It doesn't read that way.
What?
This reads, whereas the city is constructing pickleball courts with lighting in your resolution.
Well, that shouldn't be in there.
That's my point.
That is not approved by council.
And it's not Fahey Fields Outlet 7.
It does say McGaw Park parenthetically.
Parentheses,
We got
yeah.
it. Yeah,
It's not Fahey Fields Park, it is city park. Otherwise, if it wasn't city property, the city wouldn't be granting this easement. So I'm disputing the wording there of what this land is and where the easement is going. It's not Fahey Fields subdivision.
Yeah, I think the first whereas is inappropriate here. You know, the city has not approved, it has not approved installing lights. It's not in the budget, you know. And
I guess I'm looking forward to the staff report.
All right. Tim? I'm sorry.
So my understanding is that electric service is required because there are outlets going in for this facility. So in order to power the outlets, service is needed. As part of the construction of the additional pickleball courts, the lights were left out. However, conduit was installed for the lights. The bases were installed. What was excluded when this project was approved were the poles, the fixtures, the wiring, and then the controls for the lights. But everything's in place to install at a later date. But there is a electric service needed for the outlets, so the wiring for the outlets has been installed along with the conduit for that.
What do we need outlets for?
Yeah, I was just going to ask,
What
are
do
they,
we-
what's the
you know,
purpose of the
Our
outlets?
tennis courts don't have outlets, you know, I love pickleball, it's a great game, but,
There's 3 boxes for outlets.
what, you know,
Why do they need
nice to have outlets, I don't want to pay for them.
They were actually playing Friday with a portable blue light that lit up the court so they could play on it. And the pedestrian lights lighted up fairly well for some of the courts. So it's questionable why, you know, this is just putting in an outlet without
You gotta
even plugging
pay for that
anything and
service,
using
yeah.
it, there's going to be a bill.
Yeah, there'd be a bill, and it's not, I don't want it. I don't want to pay that. It's not, it might be $20 or $30 a month, you know, for that, for just that service for a few outlets. I just don't. Everyone's got battery type devices. I just don't see that as needed. If a future council, this council decides they want to put lights in there, fine,
But it's already set up to have conduit, or to have outlets, correct?
Correct. My understanding, yes. I can find out the reason why those were installed and report back.
I'm sure the chamber decided they needed them so they could get more pickleball tournaments there, you know, and bill, and me pay the bill, you know. Well, I don't think, you know, this first these first two, I'm fine with giving them an easement.
I'd like to make an amendment to just defer this until we get some of the answers to some of the questions.
No, I'm fine with
What's
that.
the purpose, I mean, to grant the easement right now if we don't need to do it? Is it in any hurry? Why don't we get some answers to what we have before we decide if we're going to grant an easement and get a power?
Parks needs to take this up too.
So I'll make an amendment that we defer this item until we get some answers to the questions.
Well, if we don't have the easement in place, is that going to affect construction? Because they're going to need to keep the area clear, right, for MG&E to do their work. And so if we don't have the easement,
What work does MG&E need to do?
They need to install the service, so.
But why do we even need the service? I guess that's the question that we're asking. Is there a second to my amendment, or otherwise we shouldn't be discussing it?
We have a second to
if we defer this, Tim, is this going to affect the timeline?
Yeah, it would push off getting on MG&E's schedule to do the service work until, because it would have to go to Plan Commission, so they were shooting for next week plan, so that it wouldn't hit Plan Commission till September in their meeting.
So I'm Plan Commission for tomorrow.
Do we have a second to Kim's motion to defer?
So we could defer it to our September 8th meeting, and that wouldn't really, if Plan is taking it up tomorrow, we can talk about it on September 8th without really affecting the timeline, right?
That is correct, yes. That'd be my hope, yeah.
Okay. I'll go ahead and second that.
Okay. Any discussion on that amendment? Okay. Okay, so then we have
Is there a way we could get previous minutes or the video when this was presented? Parks presented us with this way before. We talked about the power peds, and we talked about the peds saying put them in, and so we knew darn well we were going to run power through there, in my opinion. Whether we were going to get to the post lighting or not, they said that's the ultimate objective, is to put that there. Now, if there's a different process that you have to go through to step through that, through us, through council, through that was to occur, but I remember him telling us he's going to put power and we're putting peds up there, we're just not putting the posts.
I'm uncomfortable until it's
Okay.
until we're approved. You know, I'm for lights if they're going to do a fundraiser and someone else is going to pay for them. So far, you know, the pickleball, really, they haven't come up with any funding.
We can't hear you.
And then the pickleball groups really haven't come up with much for funding.
Who pays for the power for the tennis court at McKee?
Or any of the ball
City does.
fields in the city.
City does. We have a motion on the floor to defer this till the September 8th. So call the vote. All in favor of deferring Resolution R 143-26-25 to the 8th, signify by saying aye.
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 Nay.
Opposed? Okay.
Don's nay.
It passes 3 to 2. Okay. All right. I will, I'll take this up at our parks. I'll get this on our agenda to discuss at parks.
Do you have a meeting between now and the 8th?
Yes,
Oh,
we do.
okay.
Yeah, we'll have a meeting on the 4th. Okay. All right. Next, we have Resolution R 14225, a resolution releasing public utility easements in Lot 2 of Certified Survey Map 9356 and Lot 1 of Certified Survey Map 13261 along Basswood Drive. We have a motion to approve.
I so move we approve resolutions number R-142-25.
Okay. We have a second. Moved by Wilborn. Do we
I'll
have a
second.
Second by Kim. Tim, why don't you run us through this one here? What's going on?
Sub-Zero will be submitting a CSM to dedicate right-of-way for a cul-de-sac at the end of Basswood Drive. Construction of this cul-de-sac is required per the agreement for subdivision improvements. There are public utility easements within the proposed right-of-way for this cul-de-sac. These public utility easements are not needed for municipal utilities. We're looking for council to approve the release of the public utility easements on Lot 2 of CSM 9356 and Lot 1 of CSM 13261 along Basswood Drive.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions on this?
Any chance you could pull it up? Because when I looked at
Yes.
it didn't look like Basswood terminates. It connects to Commerce Park and Bud's Drive. So they want to sever the connection now and put a
Cul-de-sac.
there. So are we jurisdictionally transferring right away or?
So as part of the subdivision improvement agreement, when Sub-Zero came in to be developed, part of that agreement was for them to sever the Bud's Drive connection. So they're shifting it to the west, and then Basswood would be cut off from Bud's Drive. And here's kind of, you can see the outline of the proposed improvements. So right now,
Here, it's on this little one here. Well, it's gone now. Went.
And what is the purpose from cutting it off from Bud's Drive?
they get a lot of cut-through traffic. So to kind of stop that with the shifts for Sub-Zero.
And remind me again, is Bud's Drive, is that private now or going to be private?
I believe it's private,
Okay.
Bud's Drive.
Again, this was all previously, agreed to, so. Any other questions on this? Okay. Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R-14225, resolution releasing public utility easements in Lot 2, CSM 9356, and Lot 1 of CSM 13261 along Basswood Drive.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
There is a typo in the resolved clause. Now therefore be it resolved, Basswood has an extra O in it between Bass and Wood.
Oh, you have a keen eye.
Yes, got it. Okay.
Got that corrected? All right. Thank you, Bill. So again, calling the vote on Resolution R-14225 with the wording corrected in the whereas, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, for hotel, Resolution R-15225, authorizing approval of the Bud's Drive and Basswood Drive intersection reconstruction bid. We have a motion to approve.
I move approval.
Moved by Alder Jetser. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Kim. So this is the reconstruction for the cul-de-sac. All right. Anything significant you want to point out about this? And what's their time frame, Tim?
So the city of Fitchburg's tax increment district number 18 includes financial assistance for the public improvement costs for the Budds Drive, Basswood Drive intersection improvements. We advertised with the Wisconsin State Journal back on July 14th, 2025 and July 21st, 2025 and posted on Quest. And then on August 11th, 2025, we opened and received a bid from one bidder. It was Hamburg Contractors, was the low bid at $597,082.25. And they were found to be in compliance with the public bidding requirements for this project. And the time frame for construction would look to get this constructed and paved prior to our October 31st deadline.
Okay. How's their number compared to your engineer's estimate?
It was higher than the engineer's estimate. I believe the engineer's estimate was $570,000, so about $27,000 more.
Board, questions on this?
City contributing to this, or is this all?
We're paying for this initially, and our hope is that there'll be more things added to the TID that will eventually pay us back. But this isn't a business driver really. That this improvement I don't believe is likely to cause more business development in that area. I could be wrong. I didn't talk with Mike Zimmerman on this. But TID is paying. I'm a little. I'm not sure I'm getting. They did a big. They've done a big. They added their research development center Sub-Zero. That was a big addition that they did on. In the last. I don't know, gosh, last 5 years, but not too much has been added since then in this TID district.
Is there a particular reason why they want to get it done this fall? If they bid it now and it's above the engineer's estimate and they only got one bidder? We've talked about this in several other situations, that maybe not bidding at this time of the year when everybody's busy and only having one bid, that they may get a more reasonable price. Is schedule critical?
Yes, the schedule is critical because I believe the original agreement had December 31st, 2025 for these improvements to be done. I believe the TID was paying up to, believe the project cost was $450,000. Anything above and beyond that's the responsibility of Sub-Zero.
Okay.
The city will be contributing some money for the Basswood Drive resurfacing. So the portion to the west, we're having resurfaced as part of this project. And then Budds Drive is also being resurfaced. However, I believe Sub-Zero will be paying for that.
So TID 450 and the remaining 147, the Sub-Zero.
Yeah, looks like the Basswood Drive resurfacing is about $45,000.
Okay.
We would be about.
I really think you need to find out jurisdictionally ownership on those roadways. If Bud Road or Drive is truly all theirs and we're not plowing it, we're not doing any maintenance on it, we're not doing anything, there's a termination point where that is. If Basswood Drive continues on through that intersection, we should know exactly where it is, because you're going to have to jurisdictionally transfer that back to that intersection where you're putting a cul-de-sac. So I think there's a lot of legal stuff you want to know. And if truly they own all that, you don't need a cul-de-sac there. They can put up barricades or whatever they want to prevent through traffic.
Well, Basswood Drive's a public road, so there's public right-of-way, Basswood Drive. There was some private land that needed to be obtained from JBC Technologies on the north side of Basswood Drive, and then also GenCom on the south side to put in the cul-de-sac. all those land arrangements have already been agreed to with Sub-Zero, so that a future CSM will be forthcoming to wrap all that together. This had to get bid to meet that deadline. So all the agreements have been signed and executed and recorded, and that's why we're bringing forth the award.
Can they start construction before they have their CSM approved?
And there is, let's see,
Drive. That was supposed to be private.
I think that was the first whereas clause.
I'm looking at it too here. See where.
You said they were submitting a new CSM, correct? Because they moved where this cul-de-sac was going to go, further west.
Yeah, well, it's actually the previous resolution's first whereas clause had that, where Sub-Zero will be submitting a CSM to dedicate right-of-way for a cul-de-sac at the east end of Basswood Drive.
Again, my question is, can they start construction on this before they have the CSM approved?
No, they can't start construction, but we can award the contract and get that process rolling prior to starting.
So you'll have that done. I guess the board is asking, that'll be done. Construction won't be allowed to proceed until that is done.
That runs into Sub-Zero.
And who is the agreement the city entered into agreement with Sub-Zero that said this would be done by December 31st? Or what? I'm a little confused as to who the agreement is between that says it's supposed to be done by the end of the year.
It was the subdivision improvement agreement between the city of Fitchburg and Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero, okay.
How far back does that agreement date?
I don't have the exact.
Is it measured in months or years?
It was before Tim.
It was before me.
Yeah. So I guess I'm wondering why they waited so long to put out the RFP, because, I mean, had they done it off-season, they would almost certainly have gotten better pricing.
I don't know that.
I don't know how often we do things like this, but can that be part of the agreement, that they're going to plan ahead with the RFP a little sooner? I mean, if this agreement is years old,
yeah. Why not?
maybe we should have something in there that says, make sure your ducks are in a row so that you don't have to do this last minute and suffer the consequences.
Yeah, I don't know that the history on why it waited and wasn't constructed back when Sub-Zero was constructed, because the public improvement should have been constructed as part of the development prior to signing off. So I'm not quite sure what all transpired between the city and Sub-Zero. But typically this doesn't happen. Typically all the public improvements get put in before we accept the project.
So does the city want Basswood to be terminated? And because of the cut-through, or is it Sub-Zero that wants Basswood to be terminated so they don't have the cut-through?
It's both parties that want it.
Okay.
So this was talked about, back in the files. Since 2018, I saw different layouts on what to do with this intersection. So the city's been working on that with Sub-Zero for a good 7+ years.
So it will benefit the city by not having traffic come. I mean, what is the city's interest in doing this? Why does the city interested in having Basswood terminated? I mean, it seems that sometimes more options for people to go different directions spreads the traffic out. And I realize you probably don't know because you weren't here when it all happened.
Tim, can you reiterate again what the language did say? Did it specify a cul-de-sac or just the termination of the through road?
I would have to pull up the original agreement. Not sure I can find it that fast.
The reason I say that, you could probably postpone doing the cul-de-sac till you got enough TID money built up. You can, like I said, you can terminate that road at any time just by barricading it or ripping out, asphalt or whatever to discourage through traffic.
The road's in pretty bad shape. The city's been pushing off the resurfacing of it, knowing that this cul-de-sac was coming. So that at a minimum, this needs to be resurfaced. And the additional TID money is coming out of Sub-Zero's pocket, not the TID.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get a bid under 450 one way or the other, so the city's on the hook for the same amount of money.
Oh, I thought we didn't have enough TID money to.
Right, but anything above and beyond Sub-Zero is going to cover. So the TID's only paying 450.
Right.
Sub-Zero is making up the difference.
And we have 450 in the TID?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And they're going to cover the resurface west of there then?
The city will be contributing about 50,000 for the resurfacing.
But it was included in their bid.
Yes, it was included in the bid.
So basically, we're paying the whole thing anyway, because if we're paying 450 and the bid was 497, and we're paying 50 above and beyond the 450, we're at 500 already.
And by not resurfacing, you're going to discourage through traffic. So.
I'm trying to picture if I've ever even gone on that, prior. Trying to picture where the turn is. There's some ponds on the north. Oh, that's the road up into their parking lot.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm looking at DCI maps, so somewhere between.
That's the public. The public can't even go through there. There's a gate. There's a gate on there on their parking lot, I think.
I don't think that's true. 'Cause
No?
I think is the Baki Center open to the public? But the connection on the east-west, on the south side of the property, didn't connect to Seminole Highway until sometime between 2017 and 2020. So that could be part of the motivation for leaving that connection in place. But, by 2020, that connection between Sub-Zero on the lower right of the screen here.
Where you're showing the Bud's Drive going up there, that's
Private drive.
That's a private drive. There's a gate. There's a gate on there.
I don't think there is.
No.
Really?
No. That's a through. I bike through there a lot.
You do, eh?
And it doesn't say private drive. It
Where's the
doesn't
gate on the parking
specify.
lot?
There's a gate, I think, on the parking lot if you move to the
Okay.
east.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
But I've taken that route through.
All right.
I think there might be
Buds on the
gates
bike
on that
and
Okay.
it's-
parking lot.
I thought it was a roadway, not a private drive.
I didn't. I was just okay.
Which, I mean, it's serving other businesses besides Sub-Zero, I think. So that's why I can't understand.
Is that really true?
What's
I don't think it
the,
is.
what's this, down farther, on the left side?
That's part of Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero.
That's Sub-Zero's?
Yeah, that's Sub-Zero's.
Okay, the whole circle roadway thing there? Okay. So the far corner, because there's like a big walking path and everything in there, that's all Sub-Zero's?
Is that
walking
Sub-Zero
path?
or is that Promega there?
I think that's Sub-Zero. Omega's only on the south side of that.
Almost there. That does say Sub-Zero.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
big,
it.
okay.
So it's predominant, I think it's predominantly people out of their parking lot. I don't know, maybe.
But I think the fact is, they've approved a subdivision agreement a long time ago that says we're gonna do this, so, I mean, as far as I can see, unless we go back and change that subdivision agreement,
Right on the hook
we
here,
we need to do this.
Sub-Zero's got all that property all the way down to Lacey.
No.
Do they?
No, not all the way down to Lacey. It stops at Sub-Zero Parkway.
Right.
I guess the
Go ahead.
question I come back to, got Don's, does it need to be done? You know, like you say, we could put concrete barriers in there and, you know, it accomplishes what they want. I don't know if that cul-de-sac really beautifies, you know.
Well, I think that it needs to be done, otherwise the original SIA needs to come back and needs to be modified, because that's what was originally recorded as part of the development.
Okay, I'm with you.
I'm looking at the engineer's estimate versus the one bid that we got. The thing that jumps out at me is the common excavation. The engineer's estimate was $30K, and they came back with $95K. Any insight there at all?
Now, the engineers most likely using just projects that they've worked on, and for some reason, you know, Hamburg had a higher lump sum price for that line item.
I guess if Strand did this and they reviewed it, at that point in time, if they had a question on it, they should have brought up, if they thought, I mean, they said it was a responsive bid. A lot of times they bid these things to get money up front. Usually sometimes that comes in mobilization because they put money up there rather than doing it, so they spread it out. If they put here, they probably lowered some of their costs, but I guess we got a letter from Strand, correct, that said they got one bid, they looked at it, they felt that it was a responsive bid, so that would have been for them to question Hamburg on if they thought it was unreasonable.
How much over was it from their engineering estimate?
A little over triple. It was 95,000 versus 30,000.
I'm surprised they're bidding unclassified or uncommon excavation as a lump sum item. Yeah, 30,000 to 94.6.
Can't be that much excavation there.
There can't be that much
It's all at the
excavation
same,
there.
it's all at the
There
same
just
grade.
can't be.
It's all at the same grade right now.
It's got to be that they wanted that money in that, whether they didn't have to measure compared to some other items.
It may be complicated by the presence of the fire hydrant and the street light, and then on the other side of the road, just barely outside of the cul-de-sac, is an electrical station there too, or a big green box.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill, yeah, good. That's a good observation. Yeah, if I had my druthers, you know, I'd like to change it and see if we could just end the street there, but as Tim astutely points out, you know, I don't, the timing on this, you know, I'm not sure we have the time to do that.
Well, again, isn't that up to legal to decide? If we determine it's not a acceptable bid, I understand Kim's relying that Strand is here, but boy, they blew their engineer estimate then. I'd bring them here, explain exactly why they blew it so bad.
Well, on that
I don't-
one item, I mean, total is not.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
I thought it was.
5%.
Yeah.
I thought you said it was 3 times. but-
Just that one item,
one
just
item.
on the unclassified
But they're-
excavation or common excavation
They're
item.
within 5%.
Yeah.
On the,
Okay.
I don't get too excited,
Then they lower some of the other ones in the back.
And it was a single bidder, right?
Right. And time of the year that they bid, I mean, whatever, but.
I'd rebid this thing.
I think part of it is should be some mechanism for the city to know that if this has to be done by the end of the year and nothing has happened and it's August, and it could have been done 2 years earlier. I mean, there should be some flag that says why aren't we doing this, or why are we waiting, or whatever. And I'm sure there could be some very reasonable reasons why it is, but all of a sudden now we're under the gun because here it is the middle of August. We have to approve this or not so they can get started, so it's done by the end of the year to meet the subdivision improvement agreement. And
We're, again, that's where it'd be nice to hear from legal. We are under the gun to do it. Didn't hear there's a penalty clause or anything if we don't complete it by December.
Yeah.
So why can't we just rebid this thing and get a cheaper price and?
For spring construction,
Right.
you're saying?
And again, if they don't want any traffic there, there's ways to fix that right here and now.
Yeah. Barricades or cement blocks in there would do it for now.
Yep.
I guess it comes down to legal as to if that's in the approved subdivision improvement agreement and the city doesn't live up to it, can they come back at the city to say you did not, you didn't hold up your end of the bargain, basically?
Well, at the same time, it behooves them, to get a better bid, then they're paying less money too.
Well, true.
As the mayor has, I think, correctly pointed out to me too, though, it might not be less next year.
Well, that's true. You never know what's going to happen to costs.
I don't have a crystal ball, but you would think if you bid it for construction next year, that you might get more bids.
Yeah, but I don't think the city's going to pay any less one way or the other. So basically, it's Sub-Zero that's going to.
Sub-Zero.
Yeah, and if they don't care, why should we care, I guess?
Why wouldn't we pay less if we get a more competitive bid?
No,
we're on the hook for $450, one way or the other.
Unless the bid comes in at less than $450.
Yeah, if it comes in at 400, then we would pay less, but to go from 600 to 400 is probably not very likely.
Yeah.
Well, you got to run a vote on it, Dave?
I am. All right. Yeah, a lot of discussion. Call the vote, see where it falls. All in favor of Resolution R 15225, authorizing approval of Budds Drive and Basswood Drive intersection reconstruction bid, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Records show that this was approved 3-2 with Don and Dave voting nay. Okay. Next, Resolution R 15425, accepting a public pedestrian bike path easement and maintenance agreement and assignment for Lot 66, my eyes are bad, Outlot 41, and Outlot 42 in the 7th addition to 9 Springs. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move approval.
Moved by Alder Jeffers, second by Don. Pretty straightforward, but, public easement. Anything special about this? It talks about easement, and it'll be dedicated to us, to the city, so we have to maintain it. So it looks fairly straightforward.
And the subdivider is actually would be the maintenance responsibilities on them, and they're looking to assign it to, so this is Avante Properties, Green Tech, and then they're transferring it, this is the Life Point project. And this was the path kind of in between the two lots that came before you a couple meetings ago.
Just paging down.
So it's a two-part. One's the maintenance agreement, and then the second part would be the assignment from Green Tech to the other party.
Tim, any particular reason we really have to have colored asphalt?
As a contrast so someone doesn't drive over the curb, they wanted that different color between the curb and the path.
And they're maintaining it when it
They're
peels all up.
maintaining it.
Okay.
All right.
Just looking at it here.
All right, any questions, any further questions or discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R 15425, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next, Director, if he's not worn out, Report from Director of Public Works, Mr. Tim Volker, PE.
Thank you. The first project update will be the Siding Road reconstruction project. This is for our phase 2, so that the contractors out there continuing grading of that project. For phase 3, contractor began work on the pond excavation and has also continued grading the road for that project. Both our 2025 street resurfacing and 2025 ARPA street resurfacing projects, all the roads have been paved. Both contractors are working on the restoration of those projects. And then our 2025 street maintenance project, that's our crack filling and chip seal project. We awarded that at the last council meeting, looking to have the pre-construction meeting tomorrow afternoon. And then the contractor has let us know they're anticipating to mobilize next week, Monday, August 25th, to start that project. And then our Tower D project, the contractor's continuing the site grading for that, and we'll look to install the foundation of the new water tower. And then just an update with the Jamestown Quarry, Fitch-Rona Road, as part of the public improvements for that development project. Fitch-Rona Road will be closed from August 27th through October 17th for the road improvements associated with the development up there.
From where to where?
It'll be from McKee Road north to the
Intersection with King James Road.
Oh, okay.
King James.
Okay.
And with that, does anyone have any questions?
You had any problems with the rain? Have we had any washouts?
Not that I heard. A couple wet areas, obviously. It's ground saturated, and we got more rain today, but nothing inundated.
Well, did you hear how hard it was like 10 minutes ago?
We might have a couple calls tomorrow.
Tim, I have a neighbor or a district resident that calls me about everything, and he's had a lot of complaints about in her neighborhood the street resurfacing. Are they done? I think I have the highest regard for our Public Works Department, and she does not share that opinion. I assume the contractor's just finishing their work.
Yeah, the contractor's restoring right now, and obviously we have a punch list. We are getting also calls from her, and everything that is on her voicemails that she does leave is on the punch list. We do confirm that, and Zach's working every day letting the contractor know to get it cleaned up. And
okay, sooner the better. My voicemail is full.
I have a question on the agreement for the professional services for the City Hall. Did you add a professional liability insurance clause, or where are we standing with that?
yeah, so we looked into that. It was removed by addendum. However, O'Crawley, she does have professional liability insurance, so we did put that back into the agreement, and then also changed wherever the word engineer was to architect. So all those revisions that were recommended at the Board of Public Works were incorporated.
So who removed it by amendment?
So it must have been, it was either addendum 1 or if there was a 2. I had reached out to Paul to ask him about that, and she happened to have it. Some other contractor or not contractor, but architect that was looking to do the work had asked that, and so that's kind of where that question came from. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
Tim, please pass on my thanks to the Public Works staff for bringing the equipment down to the community night out and manning that and asking questions. They denied my request. I wanted to jump in the Bobcat and drive around, but
Will do.
The Alder exception didn't carry. So, all right.
Well, and I guess as long as we're thanking Public Works for their use of equipment, then I went to the Agora Art Fair this weekend, and I noticed a snowplow blocking the road. That was pretty nice.
Oh, yeah, that is. That's a good way, good way to do it.
Tim,
Even if somebody wanted to cause mischief, they wouldn't have been able to.
And not getting through that.
Tim, if you could just hang a little later and show me where on our website we have the chip seal map.
Sure.
On there,
Will
that'd
do.
be good. The QR reader, I couldn't pull up.
Okay.
All right, anything else? Thank you, Tim. Next, we have 6 Alpha, review of utility P-card checks and payments. Does anyone have any questions?
I got one for Tim. There's 3 bills here for well 12. Are we done with that now, or we still got more to come in?
On well 12?
Yeah. There's a total of 97,000 out of the 3.
I believe that was the last
the
payment,
last
the retainage payment for that.
Okay.
Tim,
Thank you.
Any other board members? I'm sorry, Dave, didn't mean to cut you off. I had one question, and then I'll get us out of here. On page 188, it's a check. It's $167.23 to Farm and Fleet. It says supplies to fix BOOS. Is that? Oh, that must be booster pump. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Kim. I should have asked you in the first place. That was the only question I had.
I have one question on the dog waste bags. Is that yearly?
That is yearly.
Yearly?
Okay. Any other questions on that? Then move to final agenda announcements. Our next Board of Public Works will be Monday, September 8th at 5:30. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:46.